But, Kerry, I want to start with the NFL. And I think it's an exciting season overall. But one of the most exciting things is this MVP race because no one, in my opinion, is really running away with it.
Yeah.
I heard you guys talking earlier about Tyreek Hill, and, he trying to become the first receiver ever to win the MVP award. Unfortunately, it's become a quarterback award. I think it should be open to any position.
Right.
But, it pretty much is a quarterback award. And the odds right now have Dak Prescott number 1 and Brock Purdy number 2. And it's an exciting race that I think is going to really go down to the last week or two. But Trent Williams, the all-world left tackle, future Hall of Famer for the San Francisco 49ers, he was talking about his quarterback, Brock Purdy, as far as the MVP race, and here's what he said.
I don't get why people say he's a system quarterback or got to show you more, because no system quarterback makes tight window throws before they're there, throwing people open, putting the ball into a window and trusting his receiver to get there, layering balls over linebackers who are in good position and still getting the ball over their head, getting it to the playmaker. Just so accurate. You watch a lot of his throws, the accuracy gives them guys a chance to run after the catch. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I know, obviously, with him being Mr. Irrelevant, everybody is slow to give him his flowers, because then that says, what does that say about a lot of scouting departments if you let a guy like this slip to Mr. Irrelevant pick, So I think a lot of people are slow to give him his props just because of his draft status and where he was drafted. If he was, if he was Zach Wilson, I think we'd probably be, unanimous MVP, the next coming of Aaron Rodgers or somebody like that. But since he's a Mr. Irrelevant pick, and this is, almost 2 years of him putting just unbelievable quarterback play on film, and it's still taking guys, saying that, hey, I think it's Debo, I think it's Trent, I think it's, like, yeah, that's not realistic.
Kerry, I think Dak Prescott's having a phenomenal year.
Yep.
And if he's starting to face this tough competition. They got some great games Dallas has coming up. And if he gets through these games, like we know they've just beat Philadelphia, of course. They beat Seattle before that. And now they got Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit. And if he plays great against them and they win at least 2 of those 3, if he wins it, fine.
Yeah.
Right now, though, I've got Brock Purdy as my number 1. And let me throw a few numbers at you, and then I'll throw it over to you.
Yep.
He leads the league in passer rating by 9 points. Dak, he's got 116.9. Dak is at 107.
Yeah.
He's first in yards per attempt, 9.9. That is the highest yards per attempt, Kerry, in 69 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's slightly ahead of Kurt Warner in 2000 when, the greatest show on turf.
Yep.
He is number 1 in completion percentage, 2nd in touchdown passes, and 3rd in yards per game. A few other things. He's one of 2 guys, him and Josh Allen, the only 2 quarterbacks this year to have a game with the perfect passer rating. And he has 4 of the top 10 passer rating games in the NFL this year. And he and Lamar Jackson are the only quarterbacks with multiple games. He's got 4. Lamar has 2. Dak has 0 in the top 10.
Yeah.
And then in his top three biggest games, Philadelphia, Dallas, and Jacksonville, he had a total of 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. And, of course, Dak was not good in the head-to-head when they played San Francisco. So I do agree with Trent Williams that if he weren't Mr. Irrelevant, if he were, say, a 4th-round pick or above, or if he were Trey Lance doing this exact same thing, I think he would be the clear-cut favorite right now. Where are you at on Purdy or Dak as MVP right now, or somebody else? And what do you think about Purdy? Is it being held against him, like Trent Williams said, that he was the last guy picked in the draft?
I think so right now because he just hasn't done it long enough. Where if this was, multiple years, this is a year and a half, right? He came in last year in the middle of the season, so we saw what he can do, and obviously we're seeing what he can do right now, and it's been amazing. I think his draft status definitely has something to do with it, but we got to remember that, Tom Brady was a 7th-round guy, right? So you can't really solely base it off that. I think it's just he has to do it for a little bit more time, right? And I think that will kind of take care of itself. But you kind of sold it on me. I mean, after you said all the numbers, I was leaning towards Dak, and I think that's how our society is, right? What have you done for me lately? Right now, like we live in that world, and I think we live in the world of hot takes and having to make picks a little bit prematurely. But, yeah, I mean, I think it is Brock Purdy 1 at the moment, but I think the beautiful thing about that, and also having beat Dak head-to-head helps. But I think at the end of the day, what's going to really settle this debate is who continues to win out and who wins the more games here, because I think it is pretty close. And I also think that Lamar is in that mix as well, but I think he's a little bit off that tier. But if they go out and win the AFC and don't lose here and he continues to play he's been playing, he can jump that level. But right now, I'm with you. I think it is Brock Purdy at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think Lamar, I think he's a little bit behind those two right now, but he definitely could make a push. And I just think that, like we were talking earlier about Tommy DeVito and having tape on a guy. I mean, Purdy's been doing this now for a season and a half.
Yeah.
Guys have tape on him. They know what he likes to do. They know his tendencies, and they still can't stop him. Now, I will say this, because Trent Williams also talked about, we didn't have it on our quote, but whether or not Purdy's a system quarterback. And he says he's not. And I got to be honest, even as he think he may be the MVP, I don't know that he's not a system quarterback or is a system quarterback. I don't know. I mean, I think what's most likely to me right now is he might be a system quarterback, but he might be one that grows into a guy that, can take over and play in any system. I mean, people would probably argue that Tom Brady was started as a system quarterback.
That's what I was about to say.
And they were winning, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say, Chris. Sorry to interrupt, but it's we put like the system quarterback as being a negative. I don't think that's a negative. I think that's something that we can kind of use as a blanket statement to kind of decipher who guys are and try to put them in boxes. But at the end of the day, every player is a system player. Now, there's players that have a little bit more freedom in that system, but I think everything starts with the system. And if you can't learn the system, you won't be able to play anyway. So I think there's a level of that word that we throw around like it's a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing. This guy starts in a system that's really, really, really good, and he's also making plays that a lot of people won't make because you have to be comfortable in it. You got to know what you're doing, but you also have to have a little bit of moxie as a player to make some of those throws, those layered throws that he's making that Trent was talking about. Like that takes some gumption, and I think he has more than that.
Right, I agree. Like system or not, and I think Kurt Warner is another guy that started off in a system. Remember when he had some injuries, but when he left St. Louis and went to the Giants, I mean, he wasn't very good.
Right.
And then he goes to Arizona and kind of gets back to his old self. But so I think you can grow. I think Dak even, like, this is really the first year we've seen Dak kind of be the focal point of the Dallas offense and actually win. Like in the past, when he's put up big numbers, they were coming from behind, so it was a prevent defense. He's rallying them. Or it was like, we got to run the ball first.
Right.
And then Dak can throw it maybe 30 times or less. But this year, he is that guy. But again, I would argue he probably started as a system guy and now has emerged. So I would say that's probably where Brock Purdy is. But to your point, you can't play much better in that system. So I wouldn't hold it against him. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I think the one thing with him is that we have seen when the 49ers aren't fully healthy and at their best, he can be a little pedestrian, right? We saw a game. We saw a game where we saw that one game, and that's only one, right? But I think that kind of lends to the negative talk when we talk about system guys.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what people are holding against him. And look, we know Patrick Mahomes is far from a system guy, but he's missing some receivers. I'll tell you that. And we'll get to that next.